Hi, gang, it's Adam.
And Patrick.
Coming up on today's episode, we announce the winner of our ThanksGAYving Week 2 Thanksgiveaway and announce our Week 3 Thanksgiveaway. We cover the latest Disney news and share our thoughts on Disney Plus and our spoiler-free review of its live-action remake of Lady and the Tramp. As always, we close out the show with some quick D. All that and more on today's episode of Gays Do the D.
To all who come to this happy place, welcome.
Patrick Sparkle Koski.
Ooh, Adam Butternut Hummel. How's it going?
It's going great. How are you?
I'm wonderful. Thank you so much for asking.
How was your week?
It was delightful, thanks. It's crisp and cold here in Minnesota.
Uh-huh.
I've been bundled up. It's been like below 20 some days already.
Yeah.
What the hell? What in frozen hell is happening here?
And you have leaned fully into Christmas because your house is decked out and it is gorgeous.
I did. It was one of those really cold, bitter days, and I was like, you know what? Christmas is happening.
It's time.
It's a mixture, though. It's a Thanksgivmas
Yes.
in my home right now. There are some turkeys and some pine cones and a full Christmas tree.
It's odd that you have live turkeys in your house.
Well, who doesn't?
Most people, I think.
Oh, disagree. You have an apartment, though, so you have a pet code there.
Yeah.
Yeah, when you get a house, you get a turkey as well.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
All of our turkeys have to be on leashes when they're in the hallway.
Yeah.
And there's a turkey park for their droppings.
Oh, I like that. I wish I had a gun. No, I don't.
Now, do the turkeys survive the holiday, or are they actually presented during the holiday?
Well, Adam, if your coffee tastes weird, it's because it's part...
Giblets.
Giblets. That's my secret to good
Delicious.
coffee. Cinnamon
So
and giblets. Terrible. That's also my drag name.
Cinnamon giblets.
Cinnamon giblets. How was your week? What'd you do?
I think we both know what I did this week.
Did you just Disney Plus your life away?
That is all I did this week. It is all I did.
I did that as well.
I went to work. I came home. I Disney Plus.
Did you Disney Plus at work?
To use your turn of phrase, I can neither confirm nor deny that.
Interesting. It gets me out of a lot of court battles, that phrase. Are you currently Disney Plusing? Your phone's in your hand, so I can only imagine.
I have an addiction, sir.
Well, stick around, folks, because we're going to have a very extensive conversation about Disney Plus later on in the episode.
We certainly are.
Before we get too deep into the episode, we wanted to take a moment and reflect and remember Transgender Day of Remembrance is this Wednesday, the 20th. Now, for those who don't know, Transgender Day of Remembrance was started in 1999 by transgender advocate Gwendolyn Ann Smith as a vigil to honor the memory of Rita Hester, a transgender woman who was killed in 1998. The vigil commemorated all the transgender people lost to violence since Rita Hester's death and began an important tradition that has become an annual Transgender Day of Remembrance. So how can you all be involved in this day? You can participate in or organize a vigil on November 20th to honor those who have lost their lives to anti-transgender violence. You can also identify yourself as an advocate on social media. Oftentimes, those in the LGBTQ plus community are looking for help but don't know where to turn, and we urge you to be a light in the darkness for someone who may need you. Also, please educate yourself on how to report on or speak about the transgender community. Learn and use the correct pronouns. It's so important, and if you don't know, ask. Everybody in the transgender community, I promise you this, I've done it before, is happy to help you and educate you. Of course, there are some wonderful resources on glad.org. That's GLAAD.org/TDOR. They are chock full of wonderful links of resources to help educate yourself, some great history on Transgender Day of Remembrance, and some helpful links to learn those pronouns that we should all be using for each other. And last but not least, I want to say, I think on behalf of Adam and I at GDTD Podcast, to all of our transgender brothers and sisters out there, we are with you, we stand with you, we see you, we hear you, and we love you. It's no coincidence that we picked the Walt Disney quote to start each of our episodes. To all who come to this happy place, welcome.
It's so important, Patrick, that we recognize this day, particularly when the transgender community is essentially under attack from a lot of people around the country and the world, and certainly from the current administration.
People of power are putting down those without power.
That's absolutely right. It's disgusting that trans people aren't even allowed to serve their country when they want to do so because of the current ban on trans people in the military.
It's despicable, really.
And as I was looking into Transgender Day of Remembrance, Patrick, I came across the figure that over 20 transgender people have been murdered this year alone. And transgender minorities in particular are being attacked and murdered. So it's so important that all of us reach out to the transgender community and let them know that we are here for them and support their struggle.
That's absolutely right. That is so well said. We all are responsible for creating safe spaces for each other.
Like this podcast.
Agreed. I would say we're a very safe space.
So as Patrick mentioned, if you're struggling, please feel free to reach out to us. We are here to listen and help in any way we can.
100% accurate. Thank you, Adam.
Moving on to a much lighter topic.
Sure.
Patrick, it was Dapper Day in Walt Disney World this past weekend.
Dapper Day?
Dapper Day, I say.
Did everyone have a Casey's Corner hot dog on Dapper Day?
I'd like to see that. I'd like to see someone super dressed up, just going to town on a Casey's hot dog.
Yeah,
maybe
a
it's a
macaroni
chili dog.
one?
Yeah.
Oh, the chili dog.
And it's just spilling down their waistcoat.
I like that we both said different dogs at the same time. And I think we should combine those dogs into one macaroni chili dog.
Yes, please.
Okay, that sounds dapper to me.
Casey's, take note. Well, we hope everyone who participated in Dapper Day in Walt Disney World had a fantastic time. And we would, of course, love to see those photos. So if you want to send them our way, you can find us on social media at GDTD Podcast.
I have an exciting announcement for us, Adam. We have a new patron on our Patreon page.
I can't believe it.
I love it. I love seeing those "you have a new patron" coming through on my emails. It's so much fun.
I would imagine that would be more fun than receiving, say, a credit card notice, like you spent this much money at the Disney store this month.
It usually comes right after those, and so
okay.
I have a moment of sadness and a moment of elation.
Just a little endorphin rush.
That's right.
After
that's
that
right.
crash.
It's true. It's like a roller coaster, my emails. So thank you for joining our Patreon family to Tommy.
Tommy, can you hear me?
He probably can. He's a listener.
Oh.
Obviously.
That's great. Well then, hello, Tommy. Welcome.
Thank you for hearing us.
And thank you for your patronage.
Absolutely.
Speaking of patrons, Patrick.
Oh, I love that alliteration.
Thank you so much. We need to recognize that this week on November 19th, it is #ThankYouPatrons Day.
Ooh.
It's a way for anyone who has patrons to celebrate their patrons.
Mm-hmm.
And more specifically, it's a way for us to celebrate our patrons.
Very specifically.
Is there anything you want to say to our patrons to thank them, Patrick?
You're beautiful.
Oh.
You're probably tall and strong. I have a hug waiting for you if we ever meet in person.
Getting a little creepy.
Oh, well, did you have something else in mind? Because that's all I have to offer. Let's be very clear about that.
I was going to say thank you. We appreciate your support.
Oh, that too.
Yeah.
That's a cuter way of doing it.
I like the fantasy you were weaving.
Yeah, thanks.
I was just worried that it might be off-putting to some people.
No, I think that's why they're patrons.
Oh, okay.
I think that's what brings them here. That's what brings all the boys to the yard, if you will.
That's what brings all the boys to the yard.
And ladies, we have a lot of lady patrons as well.
We do. We appreciate patrons of any gender.
It's true. In fact, to all of our patrons, and those who aren't patrons yet, we have specific Patreon page only GDTD episodes called GDTD Raw and Uncut.
Raw and uncut.
Only those who are subscribers to our Patreon page have access to those episodes, and we will have a new one dropping very shortly. We've got some fun stuff that we're cooking up, so hopefully we'll have some exciting announcements to give to all of our patrons in the coming months.
And should they be interested, Patrick, how can someone become a patron?
Such a good question. You can head on over to gaysdothed.com and click on that donate button. That will bring you to our Patreon page. And for as little as $1 a month reoccurring, you will be a patron to the GDTD family.
And at the $1 donation level,
yes,
you get Cinnamon Giblets coffee.
Who can say? You might. If you meet me in the park, I will find it for you.
A hug and Cinnamon Giblets coffee?
We're just wild here at GDTD Podcast. So, of course, #thank you to all of our patrons and #thank you to our pre-patrons, maybe.
Pre-patrons are peepees.
Oh, look what you did there. You boiled it down to the lowest common denominator. What are you, me?
Yeah.
Moving on, Adam, we have a hefty amount of anniversaries and birthdays to get through.
Hefty, you say?
Hefty, hefty, hefty. Wimpy, wimpy, wimpy. Remember that commercial?
I certainly do.
Oh, boy. That took me back. All right, here we are. Back to the episode. All right, so starting out, of course, with the youngest one, as per usual, turning 1 year old. Care to venture a guess? It came out on November 21st, 2018. We saw it together. I think it was the first movie we saw together that we reviewed here on Gays Do the D.
Patrick, we produced so many episodes at this point. You're
Who
asking
can
me to
keep
look back.
count?
What is it?
Ralph Breaks the Internet.
Oh, Ralph Breaks the Internet, of course.
Of course. Boy, your memory is fading slowly
and
here
getting worse every day.
Aw.
Yeah.
Keep drinking that giblet coffee. It'll feel a lot better. Moving on, turning 2 years old on November 22nd. It was released on 2017. Coco.
I love Coco.
It is quickly becoming one of my favorite movies. The more I watch it, the more I find to love about it.
I know I've talked about this on the podcast before, but the colors in Coco are the best.
It's extravagant. It's opulent.
Oh, gorgeous.
Oof, love it. Turning 3 years old, released on November 23rd, 2016. I Am Moana.
You're actually not. You're Patrick?
Oh, that's true. That's true. That's true. I identify as Hawaiian, but I identify more as hey.
That is your spirit animal for sure.
It's true. Those googly eyes, love them so much. Turning 9 years old on November 24th, 2010, one of my favorite movies, Tangled. I have to start watching the series now that I can watch it on Disney+.
It's supposed to be great.
I've heard wonderful things about it.
Yeah.
I can't wait to start watching that. Turning 11 years old, released on November 21st, 2008, Bolt.
Still have not seen Bolt.
It's cute. It's cute. It's one of those movies people either really love or really disregard.
I know a lot of our listeners are big fans of Bolt and want more Bolt merchandise in the parks.
They do have a lot of Bolt plush now coming out. I
do
wonder
they?
if they might
Okay.
be doing a Bolt 2 coming up soon.
Bolter.
You bolted. Turning 12, released on November 21st, 2007, Enchanted.
I love Enchanted, and they've been talking about a sequel for years now.
Yeah, it is such a beautiful movie.
Oh my gosh, the music in Enchanted.
And Susan Sarandon needs a new vehicle.
How did she end up in that film? Was she defeated and destroyed and dead? Is she dead?
I don't remember. It's been a while since I've seen it. I think she just was sent back to Cartoon Land.
Okay.
But I don't remember specifically.
I would love to see a follow-up to Enchanted.
Turning 20 years old on November 24th, released in 1999, Toy Story 2.
Oh, Toy Story 2.
A lot of people's favorite of the Toy Story family. Not my favorite.
I can see how it will be people's favorites, but that scene with Jessie and
I
the Sarah
know.
McLachlan song destroys me.
We have to move on before we start crying. Turning 24 years old, released on November 22nd, 1995, Toy Story.
It's so funny now that Disney Plus is here.
Is that the new name for it?
Yeah.
Got it.
You know, you can go back and watch trailers from really any movie.
Mm-hmm.
And to watch the trailer for Toy Story, the original,
Yeah.
you can see the progress that's been made in computer animation.
Oh, it's insane.
Yeah.
It's like it was the first PC ever used
Yes.
compared to like what we have now. It's vastly different.
Yeah, it's incredible. But Toy Story, happy anniversary.
Happy anniversary. Turning 28 on November 22nd, released in 1991, Beauty and the Beast.
Look, I know we're going to talk about Disney Plus later, but it's all I am right now is Disney Plus.
It's all I am.
Yeah. I'm almost hesitant to watch some of these movies on Disney Plus because I want to savor them and like have them in my back pocket on a bad day or something.
That makes sense.
But every time I scroll past Beauty and the Beast, I'm like, should I?
Yeah, it catches my eye every
Yeah.
time. It's true. It's true. Turning 31 years old on November 18th, released in 1988, Oliver and Company.
Another one we reviewed on this podcast as a take two.
It was a take two. I still love that movie. It had some problems, but I still love it.
Why should we worry? Why should we care?
Such a good philosophy. Turning 65 years old, released on November 23rd, 1954, 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea.
I love 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea.
You know what? I've never seen it.
You have not.
I've seen clips of it. I've seen all like the artwork for it. I've read the book. I have never seen the movie.
It's a very entertaining, very adventurous film.
Sure.
And there's some really fun footage from the making of it in the Imagineering story on Disney Plus.
Yes, absolutely true. Absolutely true. It made me actually want to go back and watch the movie because of that.
Yeah, it's a great one, Patrick. I highly encourage you watching it.
Okay, fine.
Also, young Kirk Douglas. Very attractive.
That whole family was very attractive.
He's got that body that's like a mid-century wrestler or like circus strongman.
Yeah, just like deadlifts for days.
Yeah.
I
I like it.
And last but not least, Adam, we have a very, very special birthday. Two, in fact, turning 91 years old.
Me and you?
Me and you.
Wow. Looks like we made it.
We're not going to live to 91. What are you talking about?
That's true.
No, they were born on screen on November 18th, 1928. One Mickey and Minnie Mouse.
They were born. Their love was born. Our love for them was born.
It's true. It's true. I went back and watched Steamboat Willie, of course, and I don't know that I'd ever actually seen the whole thing all the way through. And I was like, oh, all right. It did all start with a mouse and his girl.
That was actually the very first thing I watched on Disney Plus.
Good for you.
I was like, there's so many options. What do I watch? And I was like, of course, you watch this first.
Yeah, you went at it strategically. I did not. We'll get into it later, but I was full on like, nope.
Oh,
it's personal.
It's been a mess since then. I've been jumping all over the place, but yeah. I love Mickey and Minnie. Who doesn't love Mickey and Minnie? They are couple goals.
Couple goals.
Yeah.
I love that Minnie's getting more of a moment, finally.
She is having a Minnie moment.
Good for you. She had one in the 80s, but now she's coming back strong.
She did have one in the 80s. In fact, I'd like to see Totally Minnie come back for a second.
I'm into that.
What about a mini retrospective parade?
How about a major mini retrospective parade? That was hard to say.
Yeah, Minnie is having a moment, and we are here for it.
We are here for it. So happy birthday, Mickey Mouse and Minnie Mouse, and happy anniversaries to Oliver and Company, Enchanted, Bolt, Ralph Breaks the Internet, Beauty and the Beast, Toy Story, Coco, 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, Moana, Toy Story 2, and Tangled. What a month November is for huge releases. I've said that before. And this time it's about movies.
Gross. Do you think it has anything to do with the fact that we're in holiday season now?
I do not, Adam. I do not.
It does.
It has nothing to do with the fact that people have time off.
Sure.
This is just a coincidence.
Well, is it a coincidence that Frozen 2 is coming out this week?
I see what you did there with a segue. Now, if you can get off your segue, get back on the couch and start talking to me
I have
about
more
Frozen
tricks to show you.
2.
Look, I can spin. I can fall off of it.
You can fall off of it.
I can sue the city.
Wow. Wow.
Yes, Patrick, Frozen 2 is coming out this week, and we couldn't be more excited here at GDTD Podcast.
True story.
Patrick and I will be seeing it this week, and we'll be giving our spoiler-free review on next week's episode. And as always, we'd like to encourage you, our listeners, to chime in with your thoughts on the movie as well.
How can they do that, Adam?
It's almost like I nudged you in your side to get you to say that.
It was like that scene from Sister Act. Alma, check your battery.
Well, Patrick, our listeners can reach out to us on social media at GDTD Podcast.
Or you can email us or leave us a voice memo at info@gaysdothed.com.
So if you'll be seeing the movie on Thursday or on Friday, we'd love to hear from you. We'll be recording next Saturday, and we'll be sharing our thoughts and opinions on the film at that time. And as I said, we want to hear from you. We want to know what you think of the highly anticipated follow-up to Frozen.
So get those thoughts and opinions to us before 10 a.m. Central Time this coming Saturday.
That was so commanding.
I feel very commanderish lately.
The fact that you said commanderish kind of belittles the fact that you're feeling that way.
Yeah, commander adjacent.
Okay.
So, of course, all month long, we have been celebrating the release of Frozen 2 by doing a month-long ThanksGAYving Thanksgiveaway.
4 weeks of Frozen giveaways.
4 weeks. And last week, we announced that we were giving away an Anna and Elsa Disney Parks Collection pin set, and we have a winner.
We have a wiener.
No, a winner, Adam.
Oh.
Don't call our guests and listeners and Tweedledees wieners.
Some people are into that.
That's fair. That is fair.
Fetish.
Adam, would you like to give me a little drum roll? I know you don't, but do it anyways. I'm commanderish.
Patrick, I really dislike when you throw this upon me.
Yeah.
Because there's never, ever, ever on the history of this podcast been a successful drum roll.
Disagree. There's been several many.
I'm going to do it because I never say no to anything.
That is true. I've seen you at bars. Oh, that was unsettling. I felt that in my spine. I'm kind of into it. And the winner is Garrett. You can find Garrett on Instagram at Garrett with 2 T's, M081.
Congratulations, Garrett.
Congratulations, Garrett. We hope you enjoy your pin. Don't prick yourself with the pin because we don't want to be sued.
And just don't be a prick in general.
Oh my goodness, Adam.
Can I say that?
You just did, and you were editing this episode, so fully up to you.
I think I'm allowed.
Great.
Congratulations, Garrett. We'll be reaching out to you on DM to get your info. And Patrick, that means we're moving on to our ThanksGAYving Week 3 Thanksgiveaway.
I'm so excited.
This week, we are giving away a Frozen 2 Bruni the Salamander plush.
He's so adorable. I know I've said before that I'm not into him because he looks too much like Pascal, and don't mess with Pascal.
Sure.
But he's very cute in his own way, and I've grown to love him.
Let's reserve our judgment until we see the film, right?
Fair enough. But the plush itself, I'm telling you what.
Oh, the plush is so cute.
I've hugged it a few times.
So you're not only getting the plush, you're getting some Patrick hugs.
Aw.
Which I think maybe degrades the value of it just a bit.
Very rude.
So how can you enter to win? Well, as with our other Thanksgiveaways, you can visit our Instagram at GDTD Podcast, and you need to be sure that you're following us. And under the post featuring the image of the Bruni plush, tag 3 of your Disney-loving friends, and you're entered to win. To receive an extra entry, repost our post or add it to your stories and tag us at GDTD Podcast. We will be accepting entries until 6 o'clock p.m. on Friday, November 22nd. The winner will be contacted via DM shortly after that and announced on our Monday, November 25th episode. Monday, November 25th?
Mm-hmm.
What else is happening that day, Patrick?
Not one thing, Adam. Not one thing.
Oh, no, it's your birthday.
Ugh.
How often do you get to give away something on your birthday rather than get something on your birthday?
I've given away a lot of things on my birthday.
Mm-hmm.
My dignity.
I've been there for a couple of times when that's happened.
Mostly just that.
Well, good luck, everybody, and head on over to our Instagram to enter to win.
With all that Frozen talk, Adam,
Yeah.
I'm a little cold.
Okay.
What do you say we warm up our coffee and get into the news? And by warm up our coffee, I mean add some schnapps to it.
That's what I was waiting to hear.
For those who may not know, Disneyland cast members have an option to donate $1 per week to the Disney Volunteer EAR Community Fund. Those who do so have an opportunity every year to nominate a nonprofit organization to receive a $5,000 grant. This year, 84 grants were given out using this fund, totaling $400,000.
Wow.
That's incredible, knowing that it only came from Disney cast members.
There's a lot of them.
There's a lot of them, and they are very generous.
They certainly are.
One of the most recent recipients of a grant was Canyon Rim Elementary School in Anaheim. The school will use the grant to upgrade technology in the school's classrooms. The nomination came from Jason Smith, Director of Planning and Industrial Engineering at Disneyland. Jason is a parent with 2 children who attend the school, and he was given the privilege of handing over the $5,000 check to the Canyon Rim staff, students, and PTA board members. So congratulations to all 84 nonprofits who received a grant this year, and a huge thank you to all of the Disneyland cast members who helped make all of this possible.
Very smart, Jason. I know having children can be very competitive now, so giving your kids access to better computers, smart. Jason was thinking.
Well done, sir. Well done.
Isn't that what it's all about?
That is what it's only about.
Yeah.
Self-preservation.
Yes.
I think you don't understand how philanthropy works, Adam.
For those wondering what to get me for the holidays,
Oh, dear.
Patrick,
Off to a good start.
anything from the following news story will be the perfect fit.
Okay, great.
Van Eaton Galleries, which for over 20 years has represented the single largest selection of works from the earliest days of animation right up to the present day, will once again be hosting an incredible exhibition and auction event featuring historic Disney artifacts. A History of Disneyland and Walt Disney World is Van Eaton Gallery's largest auction ever, featuring over 1,500 items, including a Wed Imagineering file copy of the 1953 Disneyland prospectus, an original animatronic Small World doll, a People Mover ride vehicle, the original Penny Arcade sign, singing animatronic tiki birds from the Enchanted Tiki Room, as well as additional props, documentation, manuals, cast member attire, and countless other artifacts from the history of the Disney parks.
That is fully bonkers.
Patrick, when I was gathering information for this story, I had to visit the Van Eaton website.
Of course, just casually.
And I fell into a rabbit hole of auction items. The catalogs are gorgeous to look through. And I was getting a little contact high just from looking at them, like the amazing things that they're offering, the history behind them. It's just phenomenal.
Yeah, I can't imagine being in that room when this auction happens.
You don't even have to be in the room, Patrick. It's online, too. So you could technically bid on things, in the auction.
I'm so glad Dan's out of town because I'm gonna spend some money.
The auction featuring items from Disneyland will take place on Saturday, December 7th, 2019 at 10 a.m. Pacific time. And the auction featuring items from Walt Disney World will take place on Sunday, December 8th, 2019 at 10 a.m. Pacific time. Both auctions will take place at Van Eaton Galleries in Sherman Oaks, California, and as I said, Patrick, online for those who aren't able to attend in person. For those who want a sneak peek at the collection, Van Eaton Galleries is hosting a public exhibition now through December 6th, 2019. The exhibition is available for viewing Tuesdays through Saturdays from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. and Sundays from noon until 4 p.m. The exhibition will be closed November 28th and 29th, 2019. In addition, there will be a special collector's reception on Friday, November 22nd, 2019. For more information and to view the auction's incredible catalog of items, visit vegalleries.com.
Is there an item you have your eye on specifically?
You know, the one thing that really popped out was one of the light-up headboards from Disneyland Hotel.
Oh, yeah.
Can you imagine every night just snuggling into bed and just turning it on and listening to the music and watching the lights twinkle?
I think you're underestimating how powerful that sign probably is. It's going to blind your neighbors.
And destroy my budget.
100%. It's going to be like that scene in Christmas Vacation where the neighbors knock over everything because the lights are so bright.
Why is the carpet wet, Todd? I don't know, Margot.
I love that line. I don't know, Margot. British actor Jonah Hauer-King will soon be working his deck as Prince Eric in the highly anticipated live-action remake of The Little Mermaid.
Say what now?
He'll be working on the deck.
Oh, okay.
Did I not say that correctly the first time?
It didn't come out that way?
Let's move on.
Okay.
Hauer-King's credits include Laurie in a 2017 television adaptation of Little Women and roles in Postcards from London and A Dog's Way Home. Earlier this year, Harry Styles of One Direction was offered the role but turned it down. Hauer-King will join the cast alongside Halle Bailey as Ariel, Awkwafina as Scuttle, Jacob Tremblay as Flounder, and an as-of-yet unofficial but rumored cast including Melissa McCarthy as Ursula, Javier Bardem as King Triton, and David Diggs as Sebastian. The Little Mermaid will be directed by Rob Marshall with music by Alan Menken and Lin-Manuel Miranda. The film is set to start production in early 2020.
This is very smart casting on Disney's part. To choose someone who's relatively unknown, I think was a good move.
I think so, too, because this potentially is going to be a cast of heavy hitters, and it's a nice mix of people who are still up and coming and people who are pretty well established.
Also, he's cute.
Yeah, I'd look at him more often. I want to see him on a deck.
Let's get down to the real news, Patrick. Who is playing Max? Who's playing Max in this movie?
It's Penny. Your dog, Penny. They've reimagined.
Yeah, that would be quite the reimagining. Why no confirmation on Melissa McCarthy yet? Come on, Patrick, you're an insider. You know these details.
Well, as I was rummaging through her trash.
So she's added to the list now?
She's added to the list of people I am not allowed around.
Last week, Walt Disney World announced several of the performers that will be entertaining guests as part of the 2020 Epcot International Festival of the Arts Disney on Broadway concert series.
Love it.
This year's lineup includes Kissy Simmons and Elton Fitzgerald White from The Lion King, Heidi Blickenstaff from The Little Mermaid and Freaky Friday,
Fun.
Gavin Lee from Mary Poppins,
Oof, that dude.
Carrie Lindsay from Newsies,
Love her.
Kevin Massey and Josh Strickland from Tarzan. Do you think they'll kiss on stage?
They'll kiss me backstage.
And by backstage, you mean...
You know what I mean. You know what I'm saying.
And last but not least, Ashley Brown from Mary Poppins and Beauty and the Beast.
What a wonderful lineup.
Yeah, the talent in this group is like out of this world.
Practically perfect in every way.
Oh, Patrick. Additional performers will be announced at a later date. So, Patrick, we still got a shot.
To be in it?
Yeah.
I don't think we do, Adam.
What do you mean?
I don't think we do.
Oh.
Not the two of us. Me, I'll be there.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I've been offered some things. Not a part in the show, but
you've been offered some things.
A restraining order.
Yep. Performances are at 5:30 p.m., 6:45 p.m., and 8 o'clock p.m. daily at the America Gardens Theater in Epcot's World Showcase during the Festival of the Arts from January 17th through February 24th, 2020. Those looking for guaranteed priority seating to the Disney on Broadway concert series can take advantage of the 2020 Disney on Broadway concert series dining package by making dining package reservations at Biergarten Restaurant, Coral Reef Restaurant, Garden Grill Restaurant, or Rose and Crown Dining Room. And I'm sure, Patrick, some of our Tweedledees will recall that we did this last year.
We sure did.
We did the dining package at Garden Grill Restaurant, and we had breakfast there, and it was delightful.
It was one of the more fun times I've had in Disney World, I'll tell you what.
Great character interaction.
Great character interaction, and also it gave us really wonderful priority seating for the show. It was such a great night. I cannot recommend it enough.
To be clear, we were in the front row.
Front row.
And we saw Kevin Massey and Carrie Butler.
It was so wonderful. I could see all of his abs through his tight shirt. And what a voice.
I like that you open with the abs.
Always open with abs.
Sure.
Always be abbing.
For more information on the 2020 Epcot International Festival of the Arts Disney on Broadway concert series and to make dining package reservations, visit disneyworld.com.
Are we going again?
I would love to go, but we're heading to Walt Disney World in December, and so that might be a little too close to the previous trip. Financially.
Fair enough.
Although if you're performing, I suppose I'm kind of obligated to go down and review your performance.
It'll be stage adjacent.
Yeah.
My performance. A permit has been filed with the city of Anaheim for work to be done on the 24-year-old attraction Indiana Jones Adventure. The permit cites in the scope of work, remove and replace show set bridge to include steel structure, rock work, and planks. Disney has not added Indiana Jones Adventure to the refurbishment calendar yet, but there is wild speculation of a much larger overhaul after this next year's 25th anniversary.
Am I correct in understanding that Disneyland did not install a steel structure under that bridge? Does that mean that we went over that bridge without any kind of support on it, or...?
You could read into that based on the work that they have cited.
Cool, I'm glad we survived.
Cool. Thanks, guys. Indiana Jones will join two other pretty big refurbishments in Disneyland and California Adventure. Permits have also been filed for some fairly extensive work to Snow White's Scary Adventures. The permit scope of work cites remove and replace show prop sets and scenes, install new structural beams, rock work, and new projector platforms with electrical. No date has been set for this work, but based on the scope of what's already been filed, it will likely take the attraction out of commission for quite some time. And lastly, the iconic Carthay Circle restaurant in DCA is set to be closed for the month of January in 2020 for a refurb. No word on what work will be done to the restaurant. Carthay Circle last received an update in 2018 with the addition of the second floor terrace lounge.
I wonder if the work to Snow White is going to be similar to what they did to Alice in Wonderland, where they're going to be adding more effects to it. That projector element makes me think that that might be the case.
I think you're right. It hasn't really received much work since its opening when Disneyland opened.
I trust the Imagineers. I just don't want them to go too far with it. You know, like I like the classic ride.
That's the thing. It is such an iconic classic ride, so I hope they don't change it too much, like you said. Maybe when the Queen opens the curtain outside, she'll be topless sometimes. just a little. See her hidden Mickeys.
Hey, Patrick.
What's up, Adam?
As we mentioned earlier in the episode, Disney Plus launched this past week.
It sure did, and the world stopped.
I have to admit, I'm having a little separation anxiety because I'm not on my couch right now.
It was kind of like the day that Beyonce's Lemonade dropped, and the world shifted.
Yeah, I think for Disney fans, it was kind of a life-altering experience.
That is a bold statement, and I stand behind it.
Because ever since Disney Plus launched, I have to admit, every evening I've been coming home after work, and I've been throwing on Disney programs. So like while I'm making dinner, I'll have something on in the background, and then I'll sit down and focus on a feature, for instance. And,
yeah, absolutely.
I mean, I guess what I'm saying is that I need help, Patrick. It's controlling my life. I don't know how to get out of the spiral that I'm in.
Well, that's what this episode's about, Adam. This is your intervention, your Disnervention.
Is that why my mom and my brother are here?
No, that's for a very different reason.
Oh, okay.
Which you're not invited to. We're having dinner.
Oh, that's nice. So I thought we'd use this episode, Patrick, to kind of talk about our overall impressions of the platform.
Okay.
And then also talk a little bit about what we've been watching, because as we mentioned on last week's episode, we're going to have a short segment every once in a while called What You Watchin'.
That's right.
Where we're going to talk about the programs we've kind of been diving into or the films that we've been re-exploring. And then, Patrick, we need to dive into our spoiler-free review of Lady and the Tramp.
I love it. So the first question on most people's minds, Adam, you've already answered. What did you watch first? And your answer, of course, was...
Steamboat Willie.
Well done. Well played.
I did feel anxiety launching the app.
You
I have
did?
to admit, because now there's so many options available to me.
It's a lot.
I was like, how, why, where do I go?
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, take a breath, Adam.
Take a beat.
Yes. And I threw on Steamboat Willie, and I was so glad I did. What did you watch first?
This will be a surprise to nobody who knows me. Straight to DuckTales, the original DuckTales.
That's what Matthew did, too.
He did?
Yep.
Aw, it's such a great cartoon, and it still stands up. I am noticing a couple of problems, some social issues
Sure.
that maybe are not okay to do anymore today.
Uh-huh.
some cultures that are represented very poorly.
Yeah.
But I still love the cartoon itself.
What else have you been exploring?
I assume you mean on Disney Plus.
On Disney Plus.
Okay, great. Then I went right into the Imagineering story.
Oh, the Imagineering story.
I had to. It was calling my name. It's something that we've been talking about, being very excited about since we heard about the launch of Disney Plus.
Yeah.
And I was like, I got to do it. I got to sit down and just watch this whole thing, and fully cried all the way through it. It was such a good episode.
It's really beautiful. It's a really well-documented history of the opening of Disneyland.
Absolutely. It's smart to start with that as their first episode.
I would say for a hardcore Disney fan, not necessarily a ton of new information, but what's presented is a ton of new footage.
Yes.
There was stuff that I had never seen before.
Absolutely. Some sketches were presented that I was like, oh my gosh, that is beautiful. I need to get my hands on that.
It is directed by Leslie Iwerks, who is Ub Iwerks' granddaughter, and Ub, of course, was the co-creator of Mickey Mouse.
Absolutely.
I really love that documentary. I'm excited to dig into episode 2, which is available now.
Yeah, seeing that first episode, as you said, it wasn't a whole lot of new information, but it sort of laid the groundwork for them digging deeper into some of those actual attractions, and I'm very excited for that.
What else have you been watching?
I watched kind of all of the original programming that they released.
Oh, good.
I watched Encore.
Oh, I haven't dug into that yet.
It is so delightful. I don't know if people who don't have a background in theater will love it as much, but who can say? I really loved it. I thought it was so well done. It was such a good story to tell. I'm excited to see future episodes of it. It's very heartwarming.
That's good. The world needs that kind of programming right now.
Absolutely. And now I am sort of slowly digging through the decades section of it, and just starting with Steamboat Willie, and I'm still in the 1930s. There's a lot of cartoons to get through.
There are.
It's really fascinating, though. You can really see the progression of the art and the talent that's happening. Like, it just gets a little bit better, a little bit fine-tuned, and you can see how they're leading up to Snow White with some of the animation. It's really exciting to watch chronologically that way.
Yeah, it's interesting to think about how they were testing everything, right? Like they were testing what they could do.
Yeah.
And you're right. It was leading up to Snow White where they kind of put everything on full display, basically what they had learned doing those shorts.
Yeah, every once in a while you can see that they just sort of jump ahead in their talent with like a big swing. It wasn't always a home run sometimes. And sometimes the animation's a little bit problematic, but you can tell that they, like you said, they're just testing the waters and trying to get themselves positioned to be the leader in animation. What about you? What have you been digging into?
I've been watching a lot of Gummy Bears.
You have?
Yes.
I had a feeling you would. I haven't gotten there yet.
And I, of course, watched The Mandalorian.
Oh, yeah, of course. Yes.
I saw the first episode of that. The second episode is available now, but I have not seen it yet.
Mm-hmm.
What did you think of The Mandalorian?
I loved it. I was sort of watching it as a fan of Star Wars, but also recognizing that this is a very approachable series. I feel like you don't have to be a hardcore Star Wars fan to appreciate what they're doing.
I totally agree with that.
There's, of course, a lot there for the hardcore Star Wars fan to get really excited about, but I didn't think that you needed to have seen all the movies to understand what's happening here.
I know I've said this on the podcast before, but there's something so great about pulling back in these Star Wars stories and keeping them small and more focused.
Yeah.
And that's what The Mandalorian is. And it's really refreshing to not be tied to the Skywalker saga in any way, right? So the music is different and the look is a little bit different. And it's not this kind of epic storytelling, at least not to the point where we're at now.
Right.
It's just really focused and fascinating.
And I'm not going to spoil too much because I think a lot of people still haven't seen it yet, but that bounty hunter droid was so cool.
Oh, yeah.
I was thinking he looks a lot like one of the droids that was in a previous movie. I can't quite tell if it was supposed to be him or not.
A lot of people thought that it was IG-88, but we've since learned that it's actually IG-11, which is like an earlier version of that droid.
Wrong again, Patrick. Wrong again. What else? Anything of note that you've been watching? You'll never have another opportunity to do it again.
I know. This is my one shot, isn't it?
Choose wisely.
Just up until this point, it's been exploring what's available and going back and watching some of those old animated series from my childhood, like Gummy Bears, like The Little Mermaid,
Sure,
like Gargoyles.
I never was a fan of Gargoyles. Never got into it.
It's a little more complex, so I can see how it would be like above your head.
Yeah, I'm a surface level fan.
So let's talk about the platform itself.
Sure.
What has your experience been kind of driving through what Disney Plus has to offer?
Well, day one, I have to say, I was one of those who had some glitches happening.
Did you?
It was really hard to get into some of the shows. It would keep giving me errors. And then after a few hours, it sort of cleaned itself up, and I haven't had a problem since, which, that is to be expected with any enormous launch like this. A lot of people were up in arms about it, but that's how it works. That's how tech works. It's not going to be perfect all the time, and there's really not a good way to test that enormous of an audience without having some glitches. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I keep going back and forth between, should Disney have been better prepared for this launch, or is this what's expected? I know a lot of people were really frustrated, and some people are still experiencing issues with the platform. And Disney's such a huge media company. It seems like, you should be on your game with this. But at the same time, I see what you're saying, this kind of launch where it presents this new streaming service to millions of people. It just seems like things are bound to go wrong, right?
Yeah, I mean, as far as we are in technology, like, nothing's perfect. So let's all just calm down a smidge. Things are going to happen, and that's the way life is. I don't know. That's just the way I think about it. I didn't get upset about it.
Well, I've had a perfect experience.
You have? No glitches?
I've had no glitches.
Oh, wow, that's great.
I know. I don't know how I got so lucky, but it's been a very seamless, wonderful experience for me. And I've been so pleased with what Disney Plus has offered so far. How many times do you get a product where you're completely content with it? I can be pretty nitpicky, but in this instance, I just feel like Disney Plus has delivered exactly what I was expecting.
Yeah, it's a really good mix of what's really great about Netflix and HBO Go, and they've sort of taken the best of both worlds and put them into one. One thing I will say I wish you could do is there's some categories that are on the first page. I wish you could do a deeper dive into those categories. They're only offering you about 15 options in Disney Channel Classics or whatever it is. They're only offering so many options, and you can't dive into it.
That's a really good point, Patrick, and I've noticed that too. It seems like you should be able to click on the title of the category and then get all of the recommendations for that category.
And maybe they will at some point be better about cataloging those into categories, but as of yet, I think that's a miss right now for me. Other than that, though, I think it's a really beautiful, easy-to-use site. And beyond the first day glitches, I haven't experienced any problems navigating it.
I was expecting more of a dramatic transition between the categories, or there was going to be fly through menus or something like that. And I'm glad there's not.
Yeah.
I was expecting Disney to kind of go bonkers with the presentation of things.
Sure.
But I like that it's really simple and kind of easy to navigate and understand.
Yeah, it's very clean.
I think the search functionality still needs some work. I've noticed that you have to be really specific if you're looking for something.
Yes, you have to use very exact words and spellings.
But other than that, like I said, I've been entirely pleased with what I've seen so far.
For sure. When you go into the search function, that's where they have all the categories that actually I'm looking for, through the decades, all of the Disney Channel movies, Those should be somewhere else. You shouldn't have to find them by going to the search button.
Yeah, it does seem like it could be part of the hamburger menu. That could be one of the drop-down options off to the side.
Yeah, something like that. So Disney, if you're listening, I am available to consult for you.
There is actually a feature, did you know that, where you can submit suggestions to them through the app?
Oh, that's smart.
Yeah. So if there's anything that you're looking for content-wise that's not currently on Disney Plus, you can suggest that they add that through that feature.
I love that idea.
Well, Disney says that Disney Plus has over 10 million signups since it launched last Tuesday.
Wow.
But it should also be noted, Patrick, that Disney is offering a free 7-day trial. So a lot of those people could have signed up for the 7-day trial, and maybe they won't continue the service after that.
Fair enough.
But those are really big numbers for the launch of a streaming service.
Yeah, they've been pretty smart in their marketing and offering really great deals and great value. So I'm not surprised by those enormous numbers.
An interesting addition that kind of caught my eye, and I don't know if you noticed this too, but Disney's putting disclaimers before some of the films that may have outdated cultural references. So, for instance, movies like Dumbo and Peter Pan and Lady and the Tramp, the animated version, and The Jungle Book and the Aristocats all have these kind of outdated cultural depiction warnings in front of them.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering, Patrick, what you think about those kind of disclaimers before the film starts.
I think it's smart. I think it's responsible. I think that they should do that. I'm a big fan of always letting people know, hey, we get it. We recognize this is our history. We are not necessarily celebrating these moments. We are just preserving them, and maybe it'll start a conversation. That's my hope anyways. I do understand the thought of taking them down altogether. I fully I hesitate to say this, but I fully support that opinion as well. But I don't know that there's a lot of value in not at least having a conversation about it, if that makes sense. I know that's kind of a tiptoe around it answer, but...
I don't think so, Patrick. I think it's important that Disney's recognizing it, but there's no benefit to us hiding history, right? There's no point in us kind of running from that or ignoring it, because then, and this is just my personal opinion, it has more of a chance to kind of prop up again and be like, this never happened. Whereas we can just kind of recognize it and learn from it, talk about it, and then move on in a more meaningful, thoughtful way.
Fair enough. And I, of course, recognize that we are two white men having this conversation right now. So I would love to hear our Tweedledees out there, what you have to say about it. What are your thoughts and opinions? Let us know. I will say this, though. Here's what I'm loving so far about Disney Plus, kind of along those lines, especially with the original programming, and it sort of balances out all of the history that we maybe bump on culturally. So right out of the gate, they're going pretty hard with diversity and inclusion in their original programming, almost to a point where for them, it's just becoming a new normal way for Disney to present movies and shows. Even in the first episode of the show Encore, they featured a gay man who got to tell a little about his coming out story and his experience in high school. And so my hope is that this is just the path that Disney is going to stick with and that they do even more of that. And as a gay man, I really want Disney to start showing up more aggressively and more boldly for the LGBTQ plus community, because we are very clearly showing up for them in a major way. This is giving me hope that they're going in that direction.
Well, Patrick, let's talk about what some of our listeners have been watching.
Ooh.
Listener JJ, who you can find on Instagram at jsquare3, said, my plan for Disney Plus is to go through all the animated features in order.
Same.
I'll likely get shouted down by my daughter Maya, but that's my plan. Probably would have been better luck going through Pixar's body of work, but nah. Maya wants it her way.
That's funny. Denzel from Instagram _Washington says, my first Disney Plus show was High School Musical, the series. I think it is just really beautifully stupid and has no reason to exist, but I am so glad it does. I will definitely be returning every week to see the silly teen drama and what twist they will try to throw in.
And listener Derek, who you can find on Instagram at boywhohaseverything, said, just finished the first episode of the Imagineering story. Did not expect to be bawling at the end. You're going to love it if you haven't watched it already.
Same here. I was fully crying at the end of it. All the way through it, actually.
Well, we'd love to know what more of you Tweedledees have been watching on the app, because as I said, what you watch will be a recurring segment on the podcast. So feel free to reach out to us on social media at GDTD Podcast and let us know.
Or leave us an email or voice memo at info@gaysdothed.com.
So, Patrick, in conjunction with the launch of Disney Plus, Disney released one of the first full-length features on the app, and that was a remake of 1955's animated classic Lady and the Tramp.
True story. The other one, of course, was Noelle, which we maybe will review later on this year.
Maybe we will.
Maybe we will, maybe we won't. It's our show. We can do what we want. But we are going to be giving you a spoiler-free review of the remake of Lady and the Tramp.
So before we dive into this, Patrick, I have to ask, have you recently watched the animated version of Lady and the Tramp?
I have. It's one of my go-to movies when I just sort of want to zone out and watch a beautiful movie, because I really think that movie is very beautiful. So I have watched it recently, and I did just watch the remake 2 days ago.
I hadn't seen the animated feature in many, many years, so I actually just watched it this morning.
Oh, you did?
And that was after I watched the live-action remake.
Interesting.
I wanted to compare them.
Sure.
And boy, I gotta say, that animated movie is gorgeous.
It's really beautiful. We have to do a take 2 of it at some point, maybe pretty further down the road, because we're just talking about it now.
Sure. So the live-action remake of Lady and the Tramp was directed by Charlie Bean. Charlie's a relatively new director to us. But what's interesting about Charlie's background is that he worked in the art department and as an animator on series like Dexter's Laboratory, The Ren and Stimpy Show, and The Powerpuff Girls.
Oh, I didn't know that.
The film was written by Andrew Bujalski and Carrie Granlund. The story itself is not really that divergent from the animated film.
Not terribly. There are some surprises and some new twists to it this time around, but it stayed pretty true to the classic.
For me, it seemed like they just kind of fleshed out the story a little bit more and kind of padded it and added more dimension to it.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Absolutely. They took what absolutely worked in the first movie and stayed true to that and just added some more color and context around it.
Very well said, Patrick.
Thank you so much.
So like 2019's The Lion King,
yes,
this film employs CG animation, but unlike 2019's The Lion King, the film also employs real actor animals.
True story.
And the two leads were voiced by well-known actors.
Yes.
Lady was voiced by Tessa Thompson, and Tramp was voiced by Justin Theroux.
I love Tessa Thompson. Her character in Westworld.
Yes.
So good.
Yes.
So good. And of course, she's a major player in the Avengers now.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see more from her
She
in
plays
that saga.
Valkyrie.
She sure does. Very exciting. And Justin Theroux, you may know his package from The Leftovers. It was all the talk when that show came out.
He was jogging in sweatpants, and there was clearly no support underneath there.
I mean, I felt supported emotionally. He was also, of course, in Charlie's Angels Full Throttle, The Broken Hearts Club, Mulholland Drive, kind of anything that you've seen that required a sexy man. They used Justin Theroux.
That's right.
I really loved them in this movie.
Me too.
I thought they did a fantastic job.
I totally agree. And the script obviously supported this.
Yeah.
But Lady and the Tramp in this film, it's much more like a romantic comedy between the two of them.
Absolutely.
Like the way they interact together, the way they laugh constantly.
It was
the two of
very
them.
When Harry met Sally.
Very When Harry Met Sally.
It was so adorable. I love their chemistry was wonderful. It made me hope and think that they were in the studio together doing some of that scene work.
It seems like they had to be.
I don't know, man. You never know these days.
Yeah.
But they both did a wonderful job. This is how you do it, folks. If you're going to do some voiceover work for a classic movie that has high expectations, this is who you hire. You hire professionals to do it.
And given that these two dogs were our stars, what did you think of the integration of CGI for their mouth movements? And then there were some moments, obviously, where the dogs were completely CGI.
I liked it. I liked it a lot. I thought they did a wonderful job. Again, I don't know what they're tweaking or doing better, but I was not distracted at all by mouths moving and them interacting with humans. I thought it was really seamless.
I totally agree with that. I was so charmed by both of them.
Yeah.
I think the CGI mouth movements looked odd at some moments, but those moments were few and far between.
Sure.
And I noticed the CGI mouth elements seemed to be more successful with dogs that had longer hair on them. Or like the jowls of the bloodhound too. Like it seemed to play better in that aspect.
Yeah, when it wasn't so pronounced in the mouth movement, when it's very subtle, is when it works best for me.
But overall, I was expecting dead eyes like from The Lion King.
Yeah.
And that was not the case at all. This was so charming and so believable and so well done that it really was a big shock and a surprise to me. And I was so happy with how successful it looked.
So for anyone who has listened to past episodes when we were sort of talking about this movie, and I don't know if anticipating it is the right word, but we had a very low bar.
Yeah.
The two of us anyways. And I am eating humble pie today, and it is bitter, but delicious at the same time, because this movie, I have to say, I fell in love with.
Yeah, I did too.
It is so charming. I was just in awe and emotional the entire time. I couldn't take my eyes off of it. I kept thinking, this is how you do a remake. If you're going to do a remake that doesn't necessarily need to be redone, this is how you do it. Take note to yourself, Disney, and keep doing this.
Do you think the fact that this was released on Disney Plus rather than in a theater, did that play at all into how you responded to the film? So like, were your expectations lowered because it was coming out on Disney Plus, and that's why you were so pleasantly surprised by it?
I think my expectations were low because this movie is so classic. It's like a Christmas ornament that you never know. Like, should I put it on the tree? It's getting kind of old. I want to keep it forever in my memory. And so I think that's why I was just like, just don't do it. There's no need to do this. But along your question, I don't know if this movie would have been successful on the big screen. I think they were wise to keep it on the small screen because it is such a packaged, beautiful, charming movie and not a sweeping epic. So hard to know, but I think that's why it worked so well.
I'm still conflicted as to whether the fact that it came out on Disney Plus kind of worked in its favor for me. I think that may be the case.
Yeah.
But I try to imagine myself sitting in a movie theater watching this on the big screen, and I still feel like I would be charmed by it.
Yeah.
There are some moments in this film, Patrick, where I laughed out loud.
Yes.
Some of Tramp's lines were so funny.
Oh, 100%.
And the way they added to Lady's character to make her more rambunctious. I'm talking about the scene where they're pretending she has rabies.
Yes.
I was laughing so hard at that.
The comedy in this movie is so good and so underplayed, though.
Right.
They weren't hitting you over the head with it. It was just really subtle, lovely comedy.
And I think, as you said, Patrick, too, the fact that it's packaged so lovely and is a smaller story like that, It really relied on the chemistry between the two lead dogs.
Yes, yes.
Which I know is manufactured, but it's there. And then obviously the chemistry between the voice actors, which whether that was manufactured or whether they were recording in the studio at the same time, who knows, but also really helped drive the story and charm me.
For it being a non-musical, there are two numbers in the movie. It felt like a musical, though. It felt very choreographed. It was like just a lovely gift to the audience. So let's talk about some of the other actors in the movie, because I have to say, I did not find a weak spot necessarily in the movie. And you know us, we look for the weak spots. People are tired of us giving bad reviews.
But when you love something like we love Disney, it's easy to be critical of it, right? Because you want it to succeed.
Yes.
But I will say that this movie succeeded on almost every level for me.
So let's talk about Sam Elliott as Trusty.
The Bloodhound.
Oh, such a lovely character.
And everybody knows Sam Elliott. Even if you don't know him, you've certainly seen him in something.
It's true. He's that if you need sort of a simple, curmudgeon, yet wise guy, Sam Elliott's your man.
Yeah, he was in A Star is Born.
He was. Oh, man, he broke my heart in that movie.
He was in The Big Lebowski.
Yes, The Golden Compass.
Roadhouse.
Oh, yeah.
And he was on Parks and Recreation.
He was.
He was the bizarro Ron Swanson.
Exactly. He did such a good job with that part.
He did, and he was the perfect person to cast as the voice actor for Trusty.
We are forgetting one of my favorite roles of his as the father in Prancer. I'll tell you what, go back and watch that movie. It is still good.
Is it?
It is.
Okay.
I promise you.
Okay. Ashley Jensen voices Jock, the Scottish Terrier.
How very dare you? It's Jacques.
Jacques. It's spelled Jock. I'm not seeing a A-C-Q-U-E-S in there.
But if you watch the movie, they do call her Jacques.
And you may know Ashley from her role on Extras.
Oh, man.
Incredibly funny on Extras.
She is beyond funny on Extras.
And she was in Ugly Betty, too.
She was in Ugly Betty and the movie The Lobster, among many other credits, of course.
Right. And Disney switched Jacques' gender in the film. Jacques was voiced by a male in the animated film, and now he's voiced by Ashley in the remake.
And it was a wise decision indeed, because she is wildly talented.
Yeah. So
funny, and her voice is very distinct and perfect. I loved it. I loved that whole character.
When I was watching the animated film this morning, I realized that Jacques in the animated film is voiced by the same actor who did Scrooge McDuck.
Oh, of course. That makes sense.
Yeah, it did not occur to me, but I'm like, oh, there he is.
Yeah, that makes total sense. Moving on to my personal queen, Janelle Monáe.
Yes.
Oh, man, do I love her. She voiced Peg in the movie. She is, of course, a remarkable recording artist, and she was also in the movie Hidden Figures and Moonlight. She's so good.
Those are two crying movies.
Oh, boy. Oh, boy. And I don't mean to start out with this, but I could look at her all day long. She is a stunning person.
She's gorgeous.
Oh,
She's
my
flawless.
goodness. And her voice and her talent, I am in awe of her.
Yeah, what great casting for Peg in a remake of Lady and the Tramp, Janelle Monáe.
Yeah, absolutely. And when she sang, I was like, ooh, girl.
Yeah.
You were singing the crap out of that song.
That sequence was so delightful, too.
It was adorable. I was preparing to hate it.
Yep, me too.
As soon as it started, I was like, oh, no.
Right.
This is where I stopped liking it.
Yeah.
And I loved it. I thought it was so cute.
Yeah, it was really well done.
They really went for it and knew what they were doing. You know, they knew they were doing something kind of ridiculous in the middle of a movie with no other numbers necessarily.
Yeah.
And it worked. It worked fully in their favor.
Benedict Wong voices Bull, the bulldog, and you probably recognize Benedict Wong from his character Wong in Doctor Strange and the Marvel films.
Absolutely. He's also in The Dark Crystal.
The new one? He voices a character?
He does.
Oh, I didn't know that.
He plays the general.
I thought you were the general-ish. Weren't you the general-ish? No.
The commander.
Sorry, the commander-ish.
Wow. How dare you?
He did a great job, too.
Of course he did.
He really had that kind of jowly sound to his voice acting. It was great.
Yeah. Let's move on to some of the humans in the movie. We have Thomas Mann playing Jim Deere. Thomas was in Amityville, The Awakening, Kong Skull Island, and The Highwaymen. And boy, can he wear a high pant.
He was cute, wasn't he?
He was adorable. He's got that innocent, approachable, boy next door kind of a look.
That's right.
And it was working for every part of me.
Kiersey Clemens plays Darling, his wife, and she was in Flatliners, the remake of that, and she was in Neighbors 2, Sorority Rising, and Dope.
Well, that's dope. She was also Joanne in the live version of Rent recently.
On TV?
Exactly.
Oh, I missed that.
Exactly. She was lovely, though. I really liked her.
I liked them both. I think maybe I wanted them even more fleshed out than they were in the movie, or less fleshed out than they were in the movie.
I bumped on that a little bit too, especially in not giving her a name. I don't like that she's just called Darling. I get the perspective that Lady is referring to them by what she hears most often, these terms of endearment for each other.
Right.
But they gave her a little bit more of a powerful role, a little bit, and yet she's unnamed, and that bumps for me a little bit. Do you know what I mean?
I understand that, Patrick. Now is your opportunity. Why don't you name her? What is her name?
Alyssa May.
Yep, that feels right. Alyssa May. So there we've named her.
Alyssa May.
In the animated film, the humans are kind of half seen. Does that make sense? Where they're not really the focus of the film. So you kind of half see their faces.
Yeah.
You see them at foot level, like a dog would see them.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a Muppet Babies kind of a view.
Yeah, exactly right. And in this film, they're kind of full-on characters.
Yes.
And they do have more of a role in the film.
Mm-hmm.
But I just wish that it had been kind of more of an interesting addition, or they had kind of gone the route of the animated film and we kind of only saw hints of them as humans and stayed more at dog level. But they both did a beautiful job with what they were given.
Yeah, absolutely. And not that they were given terrible material, but I hear what you're saying. I wanted just a teaspoon more of their background.
More character, like more interest behind them.
Yeah, there was a little bit too abrupt of a flip between when the baby was born and them putting Lady outside.
Right.
I was just like, oh, that seemed very abrupt and harsh. But I guess in a dog's world, I guess things are sort of like black and white sometimes. Sort of rounding out the cast, we, of course, have Yvette Nicole Brown playing Aunt Sarah. Yvette plays a major character, Luna, in Elena of Avalor for Disney. She's also Nora on the TV show Mom, and, of course, Shirley in one of my favorite comedies, Community. I love her.
I love her too.
I did want, again, just a peppering more of sort of the curmudgeon that you have in the original classic.
Yeah.
But I understand not wanting to hate any of these characters.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure.
So I thought she did a wonderful job. It was very subtle. It was very nuanced. And I could listen to her talk all day. I love her voice.
Yeah, I think she's great. Again, and maybe this is just something we say for the humans across the board in the film, maybe with the exception of Tony and Joe. I just wanted more characterization behind them because the animals were so successfully portrayed, not only the real animals, but the CGI animals, where there was personality there. And maybe that was the point now that I'm saying that.
Like, yeah, maybe it helped us love the animals more.
Should we be more invested in the animals? We obviously should. So maybe the humans take a back seat, and maybe that's the point.
I see what you did there, Disney. I see what you did.
What I really didn't care for in the film, and this relates to Aunt Sarah, were the cats.
I get it, though. I get why they changed it.
Oh, totally. I get that.
Very culturally problematic in the original movie.
For sure.
But those characters are so classic and iconic, they could have done them a little better.
Yes. My issue comes from the CGI behind them.
Oh, okay.
Because they had to be entirely CGI because of what the cats do in the film.
Yeah.
And it just didn't look right. They didn't look right in that world.
It stood out a little bit.
Yeah.
And it was such an abrupt moment in the film where they could have stretched it out just a scotch more.
Although it's very abrupt in the animated film, too. They're kind of there for that one song, that one moment, and then they're gone.
That's true. That's true.
But yeah, Patrick, I liked the change that needed to happen with them. I just didn't think visually they were as successful as they could have been.
Fair enough. And this may be a gain for them in doing it on TV instead of the theater, because seeing them on the big screen might have been even harsher.
In 3D.
Yeah.
So to kind of wrap up the cast, Patrick, let's talk about Adrian Martinez, who plays the dog catcher. He appeared in the television series Stumptown and was in the film I Feel Pretty. Again, not to beat a CGI horse on this,
fair.
but I wanted more, particularly from him, because he's kind of like the ultimate villain in the film.
I actually didn't mind that they sort of softened him up a little bit.
Yeah.
They almost made him seem like dog catchers are not bad people necessarily.
Yeah.
They just have a terrible job to do. And so I kind of appreciated that they didn't give dog catchers a bad rap, but they made it clear that for the dogs, this is someone to avoid.
All dog catchers are evil. That's where I stand.
Got it. Moving on, we have the classic character of Tony, played by F. Murray Abraham, who is Dar Adal in Homeland. Such a good show. He was also in the Grand Budapest Hotel and The Good Wife and The Good Fight.
And Amadeus.
Oh, of course. Yeah, absolutely.
How dare you?
How very dare I. He was so charming.
He was. And Arturo Castro, who plays Joe in the film, who people will recognize as Jaime on Broad City.
So funny.
The two of those together were great. And I liked how they, again, were sensitive culturally and kind of pulled back those characters because in the cartoon they are very broadly Italian.
Yeah, absolutely.
But what a sweet pair, and they so brilliantly played that iconic moment in the film. It was just so well done, again.
There were a couple of moments that it was almost frame for frame from the movie, and I very much appreciated that because that is such an ingrained, imprinted memory that people have of Lady and the Tramp, and why deviate from that?
You're right. People are expecting that.
And they delivered, and it was so beautiful and so cute. I welled up a little bit and just I got the warm fuzzies from that moment.
Again, that was another moment where I was like, I am watching a romantic comedy.
Yeah.
And the fact that Tramp in that moment kind of alluded to the fact that they were going to be leaving, and then they came out singing the song, and Tramp was like, oh, like he thought he was going to have an alone moment with Lady.
Yeah.
Just those little touches that they added that kind of modernized it and made their relationship more strong really struck a chord with me.
They Disney Plus'd it, if you will.
They Disney Plus'd those dogs' relationship.
So it sounds like, Adam, we are on the same page with this movie.
Yes, absolutely.
I really, really loved it, and I will be watching it again for sure.
Is this a Christmas movie?
I was thinking about that as well.
Yeah.
It certainly ends on a very Christmas note.
And begins, too.
Yeah, you're right. I don't know if I would categorize it as a Christmas movie for myself.
You're wrong.
Okay, great.
It's a Christmas movie.
It is a feel-good movie for sure, and there are elements of Christmas, but I don't know. I need my Christmas movies to be fully Christmas.
Got it.
In that, I don't watch them necessarily when it's not Christmas time.
Sure.
And I will watch this throughout the year, I think.
That's very generous of you, Patrick.
I'm a generous guy.
Mm-hmm. So we now have a new addition to the live-action remakes.
We do.
Where does this fall in kind of your spectrum of top to bottom if you are ranking the films? Are you ranking the films? I don't know. Are you able to place this? Like, this is my favorite. This is my second favorite. How does it fall?
I heard you ask something about a top or a bottom.
Oh, and then you got distracted?
And then my mind went everywhere. I would put this at the top of my remake list.
This is your new number one?
This is my number one live-action remake movie. What about you?
That's not shocking to me at all. And I am close to doing that. I'm having a hard time between this and Cinderella still. Like, what's my number one? What's my number two?
Yeah, that's fair.
But this was just so well done and certainly deserves one of the top spots in the live action remake list.
I think what I loved so much about this is its simplicity in that it was just very approachable. Nothing jumped out at me as being a negative. It was just a lovely, lovely packaged movie. And I appreciated that. Whereas Cinderella, though a wonderful movie, and I would absolutely put it at least at number 2, if not 1B.
1B.
Took some swings, and there were a couple of misses for me in that
Sure.
movie, but overall I really loved it. Whereas this one, I think it was just, from top to bottom, a really lovely, smooth ride.
Yeah, you're selling me on this might be the number one spot now. I think overall credit is due to the animators who so successfully pulled off dogs talking and dogs doing undog things and making it look so real. And we do need to give credit to both Tessa Thompson and Justin Theroux.
Oh, so great.
Because I do think their chemistry really drove this movie and made the characters just that much more believable and relatable.
Yeah. Everyone showed up to work and did their job for this movie, from the animal handlers to the live actors to the voice actors to the creative cast. It was so well done.
Well, we'd love to know your thoughts on the live-action remake of Lady and the Tramp. You can, of course, reach out to us on social media at GDTD Podcast.
And as all the kids are saying these days, you can always email us or leave us a voice memo at info@gaysdothedeed.com.
Patrick, if you were a dog in this movie,
Yeah.
what kind of dog would you be and what would your name be?
I would be a miniature pincher,
Yes.
and my name would be Colossal.
I love it. I
Thank
love
you.
that juxtaposition.
Thank you so much. What about you?
I would be a Saint Bernard.
Okay.
And my name would be Tiny.
Oh, I love it.
We would be a duo, a comedy duo.
We would have a wonderful TV show.
Spin-off.
I think the twist for our show, though, is that it is fully live action and we are just in dog costumes.
Yes.
Hey, Adam.
Hey, Patrick.
Guess what time it is?
It's time for Quick D. Quick D time. It's time for Quick D. Time
That's-
for Quick D. Time for Quick D. Quick D time is starting now. Yeah.
That lasted a lot longer than I ever wanted it to.
Me too.
But it is my favorite song.
I had to complete it.
Thank you for
Yeah.
singing it for me. For those who don't know, Quick D is where Adam and I ask each other a question we have not been privy to prior to recording, and we answer it off the cuff. This week we're doing Quick D Classic.
Classic.
OGD.
OGD. It's OGD time. Time for OG Quick D time. Yeah.
Oh, boy. Oh, boy. Adam, I've got a question for you.
Yeah, what's that, Patrick?
Well, it seems that Van Eaton Galleries has reached out to Gays Do the D to auction off some items.
Okay.
What are we auctioning off that is as epic as a ride vehicle on the People Mover?
Yeah, definitely our coffee cups.
Oh, that's a really good idea.
Who doesn't want some Disney-themed coffee cups that our lips have touched?
Don't put mine near fire because so much alcohol has been in that cup.
Yeah.
It'll explode in your face.
Yeah.
And that's not a euphemism.
And I think maybe the foam on our microphones.
Oh, gross.
Why not? Like,
why is there foam on your microphone, Adam? folks at home.
The foam balls, I mean.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I thought you were spitting a lot on your microphone.
Well, that too. I mean, think how much spit this foam probably has in it.
You have rabies.
It's curable, Patrick. Is it? I don't even know. Is
You
it?
have gabies.
I have gabies for sure. Yeah, I do. So we've got our coffee cups, our foam balls.
Our foam balls. So we've got cups and balls. Great. What else? What else are you throwing in that treasure chest?
Undergarments?
Well, they're outer garments for me.
You're right. It's just your everyday wear.
I'm going to the store to get Apple's outfit. Okay, great. That'll go for a pretty penny. Or maybe 2 pennies.
I think that'll go straight into the furnace. Van Eaton will be like, there's no way we can sell these.
These are unsalvageable.
Yes, straight into the burner.
No. Yeah, you're right.
I think so.
You're not wrong.
I guess it would depend on who's modeling them for the auction.
I've got plenty of photos that I can enlarge. Won't need to enlarge a whole lot of them, though, if you know what I'm saying.
I think you will. I think you will.
Wow. This whole segment became a dig on me.
Yeah, so I think coffee cups, foam balls on our microphone.
Great.
And underwear.
That seems reasonable to me.
I think so.
That's all our Tweedledees want from us.
That's right. So maybe going forward in the parks, rather than giving out buttons, we should just give out used underwear.
Oh, my God. You know that there are some people out there who are like,
Yeah. Well, yes, of course they are. That's their thing. They love it.
That's giving us a lot of praise, though. I don't know. Maybe there's one.
Yeah, they love it from some people. They would not love it from us. That's what I'm trying to convey.
That is a fair statement. A fair statement.
Good.
What is this going for? What's the starting bid on our balls, cups, and banana hammocks?
Can you start at a negative number? Because then anything that it achieves after that would be like such an ego booster.
Okay, I like
feel
it.
like.
It's like setting the bar very low.
Right. Although I guess negative money would be like you're working for it. Does that make sense? Or
we
no?
might have to put some money in the package.
That's what I'm saying. Maybe that's it. Maybe
okay.
yes.
We're giving away money for money.
So it's like coffee cups, balls, underwear,
and cash.
And $100.
Got it.
Cash.
To take this away.
I just think that would make us feel better about ourselves.
Yeah. Anything really would make me feel better about myself today.
My turn.
If you must.
I must.
Okay.
Patrick, Disney Plus has asked us to host a show on the streaming service.
I knew it.
What is our show about, and how are we changing the world with it?
We are like a Siskel and Ebert show.
Yes?
Where we review the men in every Disney movie. Don't you think? It's called Detox.
So it's a hybrid movie review, men review. It's like Siskel and Ebert at the movies meets Hot or Not. Remember that show Hot or Not, where people would just come out in bathing suits and people would rate them?
Do I remember it?
Do you want it on Disney Plus?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Yeah, we're like Siskel and Ebert meets Melissa and Joan Rivers, basically. So can we detalk? And that's the opening segment right there.
I mean, it's just basically like a broadcast version of the podcast.
100%, 100%, where we just talk about Justin Theroux and his lovely, lovely bottom half performance in The Leftovers.
Did they give out awards for that?
They do. It's called The Bottoms. The Bottomies. And the bottomie for the joggers is Justin Theroux in The Leftovers.
Lead actor running in jogging pants. The nominees are...
Yeah. Justin Theroux in The Leftovers. Chris Pine in anything he's ever done. And Chris Hemsworth in that photo I saw on Instagram.
It wasn't on Instagram. Be honest with our listeners. You have been visiting sites that...
How very dare you out me here on the show when you have full editing power?
Patrick, there is no outing. This is just like everyone knows it. Everyone knows it. That will do it for this episode of Gays Do the D. Thanks for listening. To become a patron of the podcast, visit our website at gaysdothed.com/donate. For a donation of any amount, you can receive exclusive Gays Do the D content and help us continue to bring you the very best Disney news and discussion. Continue the conversation after this episode on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at GDTD Podcast, and submit your questions or show ideas to info@gaysdothed.com. Have a great week, everybody. See you real soon.